In this video we'll learn how to crop and rotate a photo. We'll also learn how to make a horizon straight and maybe how to make verticals upright, you know, if they're leaning a little bit one way or the other. And to finish, we'll add a frame to a photo because everyone likes a frame. So I'd like to show you a few modules today to help us finish up the photos. Let's start with a couple of modules I can show you with the dog here. In the menus here I am in workflow scene referred. That's just to find the modules. Another thing before I get started, I am in, I don't know if you can read here, Darktable 3.5. It's a dev build. The new version is coming out at the beginning of July, I believe. So I downloaded this developer's version to experiment with it, and that's the one I'm using today. There might be a few small differences with the one you actually have. But in a week's time, I hope everyone will have an updated version. So let's go. The first one that I use quite often is very simple. It's a one-click lens correction. One-click lens correction, and I'll just show you what it is inside. So it's recognised the camera and the lens, and it can correct for geometry. And it can also correct for vignetting, I believe. We have everything. There we are. Lots of just basic corrections. If you use a manual lens, this one here, the lens correction, it is a lower macro lens, and it hasn't found the camera lens in the database, so if you click on lens correction, nothing will happen. There we are. So back to this one. The second one just underneath is denoised, which is profile. This is automatic denoising. I only use this when I have pictures which are over, let's say 1000, 2000 ISO. I'm not that bothered about noise really. This one is at 2500 ISO, so it might do better with a bit of denoising. So one click. If you look, it should find a match for the camera you have and for that ISO in the database. If it doesn't appear in the database, I wouldn't bother with that, and I would use a bit of denoising maybe, especially chroma denoising. You can do that in the contrast equalizer. I showed that in a previous video if you'd like to look at that. I believe that for most cameras there is a profile that's been made. I do find these profiles a little bit strong. If I'm zooming into the photo here and I deactivate that module, I can see quite a difference, quite a lot of colour noise here. If I switch it on, then that disappears completely, so that is very, very good. I do like, however, if you can see, I already have this set actually at an opacity of 69%, because if I push it up to 100 as it should be, or if I remove the mask there, then I find the denoise to be a little bit strong. So we'll usually use a uniform mask. So the uniform mask is a completely even mask that covers the whole screen, and I can just change its opacity. So here it's 100% opaque, so the module is applied at 100%. At 0 the module is not applied at all, and then I can apply the module with an opacity, and I found that about 60, 70%, 60%. I just go until I can start seeing some grain coming back. Maybe even 50 odd % is not too bad. I'm looking at this screen at 100%, and it is a large screen. It's a 27-inch screen. I'm looking at it. It's about 50 centimeters from my eyes, and if I can barely see noise from here, then anyone who's printing or publishing this to social media won't see anything at all. So that looks fine to me. So that is just denoising quickly. and lens correction. The subject of the day is how to crop and how to correct perspectives. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time on that. So cropping will be in the base tab here, crop and rotate I will use. There's also one just called crop, which I don't use because, well, there's no rotate. They do the same thing otherwise. If you look at them, they do the same thing. So crop and rotate. Here I have a crop that is already done, so let's remove that. I will reset the parameters. So when I go on crop and rotate, I have the rule of thirds lines here, so the picture has been cut into 3 horizontally and vertically. And there are handles all the way around to grab onto the image. Careful though, be careful, because if you go too fast and try and grab a handle and move it, sometimes nothing happens. So you do have to grab it and wait for, if you look in the centre there is the resolution of the image. That's the number of pixels there are in the image. When that appears, you know you've grabbed a handle. So usually just grab a corner and you can just crop freely. Click in the centre, stay clicked to move it around. Here I do look at the aspect ratio. This is freehand, which I don't use very much. I usually do the cropping in the original image size, or maybe if I want a square, or if I want a panorama, 2x1, 3x1 panorama. I can choose those options here. So square if I want a square. That's handy. I will, however, do it in the original image and move that around. If you click on the side instead of the corner, click on the side, it will leave the opposite side fixed and adjust the 3 remaining sides. So there, the right hand side is staying fixed, and here I can, if I click at the bottom, then the top side will stay where it is. Now just adjust the crop as you like, and when you click on the module, the picture will show itself to be full screen, or at least to fit the screen. And there we are, it's cropping. What about rotating an image? I don't think I need to rotate this one. Maybe rotating an image would be more useful on a landscape image, where we all know that horizons need to be horizontal. Now, is this one horizontal? It doesn't look so bad actually. Let's have a look. Here, if I open this, I can actually rotate. I have an angle here. So if I grab hold of this and drag it one way, I'm rotating one way. This is really violent, by the way. Rotating the other way makes you seasick. So that is not a good solution for me. I'll double click on that. I want something a bit more subtle. So what I can do is right click on this. And now I have adjustments that are done with this vertical line, which I can bend. The lower down I go, then the smaller the adjustments are. So I can actually move that with the mouse and the adjustments will be very small. So I could try and get the horizon straight there, maybe at an angle, something like this. So just a very small adjustment. The best thing though for horizons is to click directly on the image with the horizon. So I'll double click on that to reset. And if I go here on the horizon, if I right click with the mouse, stay with the right mouse button down and drag, I can actually follow the horizon a little bit there. I'm not quite sure. It wasn't bad actually, was it? 0.17 degrees. There we are, small adjustment. That horizon seems to be straight. And there we are. So that's for the rotation. So cropping and rotating, that it works basically like it works in a lot of other software. Let's go on to some perspective correction. So let's take an image here, which looks nice and straight, doesn't it? That doesn't look too bad. I haven't done anything to the colours or exposure. This is basically what came directly in the pipeline, sorry, except I've added a perspective correction. Now you want to know what it looked like before? Well, it looked like this. So let's get that back to as it was. There are some things that have been done here too, is a lens correction. Remember we talked about the lens correction. Originally the image was like that, it's quite curved at the bottom. So the first thing I'd do is click on lens correction. We'll get a few lines a little bit straighter, especially when you're using a wide angle lens. This is a 16mm lens on an APS-C, that's 24mm full frame equivalent. So yeah, the tower is leaning a little bit backwards there, and I'd like to get it straight. So how did I get it so nice and straight? Well, thankfully it's more or less automatic. I'd never touch these cursors here. I use the automatic fits. Let's have a look at the structure. This button here will analyse the line structure in the image. And what will it tell me? Well, it'll tell me in colours that what is green and red are vertical lines. The difference between the two is it thinks that the green lines converge but the red lines don't. And in blue and yellow I have horizontal lines. The blue ones would be converging and not the yellow ones. Not sure that makes very much of a difference to me. It just analyses the lines, and if I see red and blue and green and yellow lines, then I'm happy, because that means that the module will be able to do something with the image. You can actually do a shift click if you want extra detail enhancement, and a control click for edge enhancement. So if you want to look, if I click on control click, it'll try and find more edges, and if I do shift click, it'll try and find more detail. So that's dangerous with the sky, horizontal lines in the sky, I don't want that. Just do the normal click. I could actually do shift control click, and it's just looking for lines everywhere. Okay, I rarely do that. Usually just the ordinary line structure, and then try and ask it to fit things automatically. So the first one is to get a vertical perspective. If I click on that, it will try and make the vertical lines vertical and ignore the horizontal ones, which is not so bad. So I have one possible image there. Obviously when you do that, you do lose quite a portion of the image on the left and right, so that is to be expected. Maybe that's good. What I can do, I'll take a snapshot. Now, taking a snapshot is just kind of remembering this image as it was. There we are. It's taken a snapshot. So now I've got kind of a visual memory of this correction. It doesn't tell me that here it says perspective correction 23. It doesn't tell me how I got there. So I do have to remember that, or note it down on a piece of paper. How did I get that? Well, I just did the automatic fit that was vertical. And now I can reset that and try something else. So you see the snapshot, it's remembered that. If I click on it there, I can actually have the before and after. That's the after, the snapshot, and that's the image as I have it now, actually. So with nothing, no perspective correction at all. So that is what I have on the snapshot. Just click on that again, and I'll try another correction. Let's see what happens if I try and correct for horizontal lines. Wow, well that has tried to make things horizontal. I've completely lost the building, so that's no good. Reset. Here, sorry, I closed that. Just reset is this round button in the middle. Reset. Okay, so horizontal, not a good idea. What about trying to correct automatically for horizontal and vertical. Why not? Let's click on that. Oh, that's lovely. The building looks very good. These lines are a bit distracting, so I can click on the eye here just to remove them. Very nice. Beautiful diagonal line there. Modern art maybe. No, can't use that, can I? Okay. There are some extra options I'd like to show you here. I can actually correct for horizontal and vertical. I can do control clicks and shift click and control shift click to have different options. So let's try control click, and I have data pending, please repeat. That seems to be a bug. Control click. No, it doesn't want to do that. Let's switch off and switch on the module. Control click. There, that's done it. Okay, that's not so good. Okay, now shift click, data pending, please repeat. There's an error message. Now, this is probably because I'm using just a dev version. I hope in the final version this will have disappeared. So, shift click. That's not so bad. There. So what did shift click do? Shift click just did lens shift, so no rotation. Okay, very good. That's not so bad. But how is it compared to the previous one I had that was not so bad? Well, this is where I can click here on the snapshot and get the before and after. Now this is the line here I've got, look. So on the left of the line, so when the line is completely to the right, I have the snapshot. And onto the right of the line, I have the current image with the module. So now I can decide left or right. Which do I prefer? Left or right? I think I actually prefer the right hand side one. It's not quite as straight. It looks a bit more natural. I don't know. Up to you to decide. The main thing is, if you choose the snapshot, you have to remember how you got it. And this one was just an automatic vertical correction. So that's useful, you see, the snapshots, to try and, if you're testing a module in different ways, it works with every single module. You can actually compare two images after several modules if you like. And you can take as many snapshots as you like. So that is, I could leave it like that actually. Now what do I do with these black triangles? Black triangles I need to crop. There is an automatic cropping here, so I'll click on that and I have the choice either between the largest possible area or keep the original format of the image. So if I click on largest area, there I should get, and I did not get, automatic cropping off. Try again. Largest. Oh, I know why, because the snapshot's on. Sorry, mistake there. I can get rid of the snapshots here by resetting the parameters. Now I was actually looking at the snapshots, I was wondering why nothing was happening. That's the largest area, and that's the image that's been corrected for perspective. It's very efficient, this perspective correction. Let's have a look at this one here. This photo here, which is taken in Prague. It's a shop window with all these Russian dolls. Imagine I want just a picture with the shop window there with the dolls. Get rid of the rest. It needs a lot of work on colour and contrast and everything. I haven't done that at all yet. Let's go into, so lens correction. Okay, that's automatic, and perspective correction. This is a one-click thing really. Look, if I just go here, automatically correct for verticals and horizontals, done, and there we have it. So that is nice and straight, and now I can go in the crop and rotate module. I'll go to freehand and I will just bring down these handles towards the actual window frame, the case in which the dolls are. Just bring them, just do that quickly like that. And I know the horizontal and vertical, so no problem with that. And there we are. Now I have the shop window nice and straight, and that is really fast, really efficient. Brilliant module, that one. Last example then, maybe, I could show you many actually, I can just show you how quick it is really. This is just a picture taken in the university with the shadow of a wall where there are letters of the alphabet on. I thought that was a little bit interesting. Perspective correction, verticals, fit them vertical, automatic cropping in the original format, and there we have it. Look how effective that is. It's looking much better. This one here, street photography. This one needs a bit of work. I'd like to put it in black and white really, ideally. The building behind you see is leaning a bit to the right, so perspective correction, automatic fit for verticals, and let's crop to original format. Click on perspective correction. You see before and after. That has just put the vertical straight. That is so much more pleasant to look at. So there we are for the perspective correction. The last module I'd like to show you today is framing. So let's go, let's try and frame a photo. So there's a module called frame here, framing here. It's in the effects tab, framing, which will just add a frame around the photo. What's good about this module? Why is it so good? Because it adds the frame around the photo. It does not crop in to the photo at all. It's always a frame around. So here I have a frame that I've already worked on a little bit. If you reset the module, you will actually just get a white frame around the photo. You can change the border size as you please. The bigger the border size, well, the smaller the dog looks on the picture, but actually the bigger the picture is. Okay, let's be reasonable, and if I right click on that and enter with the keypad 10, enter, and that's 10% around the image. This is in constant border. If you want to have, let's say, a square, if you click on square, it will make the entire picture square with your photo and the crop you put on the photo inside. So if I want, let's say, a 16 by 9, then I will get a 16 by 9 picture with my photo in the center. There we are. And they can have different aspect ratios between the two. I suppose it can be useful, why not? I usually use constant border, which keeps the aspect ratio I had, which is a 3:2, and I'll have a 3:2 at the end. You can change the horizontal position. I'm not going to go into all the options here because there are many. Horizontal position, vertical position, no. Okay, if you want to put text, let's say, somewhere, why not? Okay, so I'll just keep that in the center, keep it simple. And if you saw when I switched on the module, there was a black line. This black line, so I can change its size and I can change the offset, which is how far away from the picture it actually is. So what I like to do is actually put that straight on the picture and have a black border with a white frame. Change the colour borders if you like, make them yellow, orange, red if you please. No, I'd rather say please don't. Keep them simple, and then we'll all be better off for it. Okay, so now I have a frame. So how do I use this? Well, the first thing, when you found a frame you like, don't hesitate to put them, record store a new preset. I can have, let's say we'll call this one black border. There we are, black border. So I actually have two frames now. One I usually use white with a black line. There we are, and now we have black border. Now I don't usually export photos with a frame. Well, not for archiving anyway. The photos I actually use for social media might have a frame, but the ones I have stored on the hard disk just for archive reasons will not have a frame. So how do I manage to sort that out? Well, I actually use something in Darktable which is called a style. So what's a style? Let's leave the photo as it is and go back to light table. So here I have a picture with the border, and if you look on the right here we have something called styles. Let's open that. Actually I have a few styles. Let's remove that one, which was one I made earlier for another video. I have one called frame here, which is one I usually have. I can have one with a second frame. Let's do create a new style. So when I create a style, the style is a bit like a preset, but presets are for each module individually. This would be a preset with all the modules that you used on a picture, and I can actually copy those into a style and apply them to any photo I like. Doesn't seem like a very good idea to copy everything, because the white balance will be different on each photo. Filmic will be a bit different. There are some things you can do. I have one called family here. Now on family, I have a few modules that have been recorded into it. There is actually white balance, exposure, colour balance, some things that are on. Just to go quickly, family photos, just click on that, change the exposure a bit, change the white balance a bit, change the colour balance, and off you go to export. So that is a way to save a bit of time when you have a lot of snapshots to go through. I'm actually going to use the same idea to make a style with just the frame. So let's create a new style. Select on here to remove them all and just click on framing. So the style will just have one module in it, the frame. I'll give it a name. I'll call this frame 2 because I already have one that's called frame. Frame 2, save. And what I will do now is go back. Now the style's been corrected, not corrected, saved I mean. Let's correct the image, and we have now the photo without the frame. So what I would do usually when I'm exporting a picture is I have a couple of presets for that as well. JPEG same folder, so I'm in the same file folder, file name with DK suffix on that. JPEG 95%, this is for archive purpose. I'd export that and I have the exact same image saved on the hard drive. If I go to social media, however, social media, I will have that in a social media folder on the hard drive, and what I could do is in the styles here I can export it with a style, so I can export it with a frame. There are two modes when you export with a style. It can either append to history, which means it would add on to the history, so add on to everything you've already done, the modules that are in the style, and that's okay because there isn't a frame already, so it'll just append a frame onto the photo. Or you can replace, which means that if there was already a frame, it would replace by this frame here. I would usually use replace because if you just use append and you've already made a frame, then you're going to get two frames. One frame inside another frame and the picture in the middle. Now here it doesn't really apply because I never use a frame while I'm developing. The frame will always be added on after, so that doesn't matter. But there again, if I was doing, I don't know when I'd do that actually. I only use frames here for export, so it doesn't matter whether it's append or replace. I suppose it's safer to replace. Anyway, let's export that and have a look what happens. So exporting one image, and when that's done it'll tell me, there we are, that's done. And let's have a look, social media, and here I have the image with the frame. And if I come back here and choose the other frame, let's do on conflict overwrite. On conflict, create unique file name. On conflict means that if it's trying to export and you've already exported once, that's called a conflict. So either you replace the image or you create a second one. So here I'm creating a second one with a unique file name. And I've changed from frame 2 to frame. So here I have actually two images, one with one frame and the other with the other frame, just two images side by side. That's just on export for social media, you see. But on the hard drive in my archives, I have the image without a frame. So that's how I use the frame and how I use a style to get that little problem solved. So there we are. Well, that does it for this video. So we've done quite a lot in this beginner's tutorial series, from import to export, right through to perspective correction and framing. I think we've done quite a bit now, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you later.